Okay, let's get right into the story. Number one, biblical significance of the number 7. What does the number 7 mean? The word 7 is used hundreds of times in the Bible. In the book of Revelation, it is used 54 times in 34 verses. Clearly, 7 is a very significant number. The English number 7 comes from Hebrew, seva, which is Strong's 7651. For in 6 days did Elohim create the heaven and the earth, and he rested on the seventh, Sabbath. Genesis 2, 1 through 3. Therefore the Sabbath ultimately comes from the root of 7, comes from 7676, meaning a week. Also the Jubilee starts after 7 times 7, 49 years. And fulfilled the loan. So 7 is a sign of completion. It's important for me to mention this. Unto God, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. God made the heaven and the earth in 6 days, and then he rested on the Sabbath. We have had about 6,000 years since creation, and this event is celebrated by the Jews on Rosh Hashanah. It is also called Yom Teruah, the Day of Terror. We call this the Feast of Trumpets. This day, Yom Teruah, is the Day of Terror. As I mentioned, it's where we get the word terror in English from. It's a symbol of war, and so that's the symbol of the last trumpet before Christ's return. At the last trump, the dead in Christ will rise, and those that are alive will be caught up with him in the air. This comes at the last trumpet. This Yom Teruah celebrates this feast, and it points to the return of Christ. The meaning of the day of the 7, sign of completion, an oath. Point number 2, heavenly signs. Are they important? What is the significance of heavenly signs? What does the Bible say about them? In Genesis 1:14, it says, "Let there be light in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." Abraham was told to look up at the stars in the sky and count them if you can. So shall your offspring be. In other words, Abraham's kids are like the stars in God's eyes, and they will be as numerous as the stars in God's eyes. The stars are a sign that God will keep his promises. It's a Zion. Sign comes from the Hebrew Zion. Zionist, the return back to Jerusalem, is another sign. And remember that Israel is likened to the sun, and our mother to the moon, and the tribes of Israel like stars in the heavens. And we can see this in Joseph's dream. Genesis 37:9. Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. "Listen, I've had another dream," he said. "The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me." And God relates heavenly bodies to Israel and his promise. Jeremiah 31:17. "For thus says the Lord, David shall never lack to have a man sit on the throne of the house of Israel." Okay, what does this have to do with signs in the heavens? Well, in Jeremiah 31:35 and 7, "Thus saith the Lord, who gives the sun for light by day, who sets in order the moon and stars for light by night, who stirs up the seas so that its waves roar," which is done by the moon. "The Lord of hosts is his name. Only if this fixed order departed from my presence, declares the Lord, would Israel's descendants, ever cease to be a nation before me. Wow, did you hear that? God continued the kingly line of David. Where is it? I speak of this hidden message in my books. Stay tuned and I will tell you more. Okay, so we just covered the stars, the portent, the eclipses, the sun, the moon, the heavenly bodies. God's glory does declare. The skies his handiworks teach. Day after day their speech pours forth, and knowledge night after night. That is in the Psalms. Number 3, Alpha and Omega, aka the Aleph Tav. In Hebrew, Alpha and Omega are represented by the Aleph and the Tav, respectively. The concept is echoed in Isaiah 44:6. I am the first and the last, and Psalms 92, from everlasting to everlasting thou art God. Rabbis and Jews associate the Aleph Tav with God. And we've just had the Aleph Tav written across America. So is God trying to get our attention? I think he is. The Aleph is the symbol of power and strength. It is a two-horned ox. We also have the wild ox, which is a one-horned ox, a unicorn. And again, they represent strength, power, alertness, agility, majesty, and purity. And there are symbols that we still use today. The name for God in the Bible is El, and it's Aleph Lamed. Strong's Hebrew 4:10. It's where we get the name ale from, as in strong drink. And so the name Aleph, the A is connected to God with the name El. The last letter of the Aleph Tav is the T, and which is a mark or a cross and symbolizes Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. This symbolic reference is emphasized in Ezekiel 9:4, where God instructs a scribe to mark his people with a tav on their forehead as a sign of protection. So, in conclusion, understanding the significance of the Aleph Tav in Hebrew provides insight into the strength of God and Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. These symbols serve as reminders of God's presence and power in our lives. In addition, I need to mention that the Aleph is a symbol of Joseph. Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and they developed the alphabet. Joseph developed the alphabet, and the symbol of his tribe was the Aleph. The Aleph was known by many different names. One of them was the Egel, and this is the bittersweet message that God wants us to understand. This is the bittersweet message of Revelations and Ezekiel. Let's take a look at that real quick. Revelation 10:9. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. Yeah? Bittersweet message. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. Let's continue. And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many people, nations, tongues, and kings. That is a mistranslation right there. What it should say is, and he said unto me, you must prophesy again about many nations, many peoples, nations, tongues, and kings. It's the same message as the bittersweet scroll of Ezekiel. Let's take a look at that. Ezekiel 3:3. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then I did eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. And he said unto me, Son of man, go get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. For thou art not sent, listen to this, a people of strange speech, of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. Yeah, he was sent way future to the house of Israel today that not only have the Hebrew alphabet, they speak predominantly Hebrew. The root of the English is Hebrew. Now, let's continue. For thou art not sent to a people of strange speech, nor a hard language, but not to many people of strange speech or a hard language, whose words thou canst not understand. Surely, had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened to thee. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, because they will not hearken unto me. They'll not listen to me. So why should they listen to you? This is the bittersweet scroll. Believe me, it's true. Look here. Ezekiel 1:6. The living creatures, every one had four faces, and every one had four wings, and their wings were and their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the soles of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. A calf's foot means eggle, that all the living creatures had an eggle look to them. They were all connected. Now, what does prophecy say about it? Let's look at Balaam's prophecy, Numbers 23:21. He hath not beheld iniquity in Jacob, neither has he seen perverseness in Israel. The Lord his God is with him, and the shout of a king is amongst them. God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. Now, is he speaking about God, or is he speaking about the children of Israel? He's speaking about both. God has the strength of a unicorn, has the strength of an ox. This is a wild ox here. Here is a wild ox. Let's look at Numbers 24. He continues. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He has, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones, and pierce them through with his arrows. Okay, what about Moses? What does he have to say about Ephraim and Manasseh? Deuteronomy 33:17. This is all in my books. I mean, I go into great detail. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of a unicorn. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the tens of thousands of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. But let's continue. What about Egel? Okay, an aspect of the cow's head, the Aleph. They use many terms in the Hebrew Bible. One of the main prophetic terms is the Egel. It's where we get Egel-ish from, which means cowboy in Hebrew, and It's what the ancient Hebrews were known as. The lead tribes of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh, were known as the cowboys. In fact, all the tribes of Israel were known as the cowboys. That's where the Egel prophecy comes from in Ezekiel. We can see it right here. They all were cowboys. They all had the sole of a calf's foot. But let's go back to Deuteronomy. Let's go back to Egel right here. And so, what are the prophecies regarding this? This is part of the bittersweet scroll. Let's take a look. This term is only used 33 times for a calf and 2 times for a bullock. And it means a frisking calf, a young frisking calf, younger than 3 years of age. And let's take a look. Exodus 32, molten calf, the molten calf. So we already knew that was our symbol when we came out of Egypt. And Satan had us make a molten calf of that symbol and worship it like it was our God. And you can see it over and over and over again. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. That's Aaron saying, it wasn't my fault. And the Lord plagued the people because they had made the calf, which Aaron made. Now, one of the symbols of the sin offering is take a young calf, take three, a young calf for a sin offering without blemish. The red heifer has to be 3 years of age, unblemished, for the sin offering. It's symbolic of us, the children of Israel. Sin offering, a calf. Slew the calf for a sin offering, molten calf. And it goes on and on and on, right? And we can see that Jeroboam, who took the northern 10 tribes and split them from Solomon's son, Rehoboam, split them, and he didn't want them to go back to worship in Jerusalem. And so, what did he do right here? He made them a golden calf, and he set it up, and he said, This is, I'm going to take God out of the schools. I'm going to take God out of worship. I am going to do the things that the liberal Democrats are doing today. I didn't really want to get into this at this point, but I feel like I'm being drawn down this road. But, I didn't want to get into this, but here, let's take a look here. Psalms 29:6. He makes them also to skip like a calf of Lebanon, Alban, and Siron like a young unicorn. God is referring to Ephraim and Manasseh again. Rebuke the company of spearmen, the multitude of bulls with the calf of the people. Jeremiah 31:18. Surely I've heard Ephraim bemoaning himself thus. Thou hast chastened me, I was chastened as a bullock. Egelish, unaccustomed to the yoke. Turn thou me, and I shall be turned, for thou art my Lord. The Aleph used to be upwards. Then it got turned onto its horns. We still use that symbol today. Now, but in Malachi, towards the end, but unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as Egelish of the stalls. So God's saying, I'm going to turn the curse into a blessing. That's the final word.